Today's gospel reading comes out of the 6th chapter of Mark, verses 7 to 13. And this is a great gospel for summertime because it's going to tell us what we need to do in order to get the most out of summer, in order to get the most out of life. But I think the best way to describe and explain this gospel reading is to do it with a few pictures. Let's take a look at this picture right here. Now, that's a picture of wintertime. And we're not there yet, but unfortunately winter will come back. But that's a really good looking picture because here's a person warming their feet in front of a fireplace. Now when you think back to winter and below zero, and if you're lucky enough to have a fireplace, there's nothing like putting your feet in front of that fireplace and warming them. Well, when I look at that picture, I say to myself, it really just doesn't get any better than that, does it? Well, let's take a look at this picture. Maybe it does. Oh. Now there's even a better looking picture. So I think that's 4 people warming their feet. Now, when you look at those feet, I would have to say the set of feet to the left and the far right, probably mom and dad, because those are bigger feet. And the feet there in the center, maybe that's the children. Now I say to myself, when you look at that, and if you're lucky enough to be nestled with your family and it's a cold day outside and you got a fireplace and you're all together, and you're warming your feet, to me that seems pretty nice. But is it? Well, let's take a look at the pictures together. So we have the picture on the top left and a picture on the bottom right, and we're going to try to determine which of the 2 pictures you think is the best. So by show of hands, how many people favor the picture to the top left? Okay, well that's pretty telling. Let's move to the bottom right. How many people favor the picture to the bottom right? Naturally, I do as well, because if you're lucky enough to be surrounded by your family, they're all, hopefully, you're warming your feet. That just doesn't get any better, I would say, than that. Now, that turns out to be the message of today's gospel reading. Let's take a look at verse 7a of the 6th chapter of Mark. It starts off by saying, Jesus summoned the 12. Now, at this point right now, by the time we get to the 6th chapter, Jesus has already handpicked his 12 disciples. He's getting ready to send these men out into the mission territory. Jesus wants to make sure he hits as many locations as possible. He wants to spread his message. So now he gathers his 12 disciples. And now he's going to begin to give them instruction and then send them out. Now, that's what it says in the first half of the 7th verse of the 6th chapter of Mark. He's got his 12 disciples summoned. Now let's look at what he does as we look at the rest of the 7th verse of the 6th chapter of Mark. Let's take a look at this. So the part I just read, Jesus summoned the 12 and began to send them out 2 by 2. Don't you find that amazing? You see, Jesus wants to make sure he can cover as much territory as possible. So you would say to yourself, well, Jesus, if you would send these 12 men to 12 locations, they can canvass more territory. Everyone's going to a different spot. But Jesus realized what? When you do something by yourself, is it ever fun? Not really. Jesus realized if you're by yourself, you might get lonely. You might become despondent. You might get discouraged. And Jesus didn't want any one of his disciples to get discouraged. So therefore, he does what? He sends them out 2 by 2. Instead of sending 12 men to 12 locations, Jesus sends the 12 people to 6 different locations because they're going 2 by 2. That's a simple little message. There's not much more to say than that. You know, you can go biking by yourself. You can go hiking in the summer by yourself. You can go golfing by yourself. But what happens if you get a hole-in-one? Who are you going to share that with? You can go swimming by yourself. But anything you do by yourself, well, it might be okay. It might have some fun to it. But you're making a memory with yourself. And memories that are made are usually made with someone else. So when you gather after you've done something together and you share the memory, you both have something to laugh and chuckle over because you did something with someone else. That's really the message of the gospel. Jesus realized that summer, life, is more enjoyable when you share it with someone else. That's why he sent his men out 2 by 2, so they'd be more effective. If one got discouraged, the other one could talk him out of it. If one got lonely, he'd have the other one to try to buoy his spirit, to get him out of that loneliness. Jesus realized that when you are with someone else, you're just more effective. You enjoy life more. So the message for this gospel, it tells us the best way to enjoy something. The best way to enjoy life is to enjoy it with someone else. Yeah, you could do things by yourself, and maybe you might be strapped or saddled by having someone with you, but it's more fun when you do something with someone else. That's why Jesus sent the men 2 by 2. And clearly that's why all of you favored the picture to the bottom right. The 4-seat set of feet in front of the fireplace. Because life is more fun when you share it with someone else.